Welcome on board. Chosen one, try not to trip over the broken expectations your enemies left on the floor. They have been shedding them ever since you stopped playing the role they wrote for you. They swore they had you pinned. They acted like they owned the script of your life. They thought you were just some ticking fuse waiting for a spark. Push them a little more, they will break. That is what they whispered. Watch. They are almost there. That is what they laughed. They wanted the meltdown. They wanted the chaos. They were praying for the version of you that would scream, cry, beg, or explode. They wanted anger, because anger is easy to provoke and even easier to dismiss. Except you did not give them the tantrum they rehearsed for. You did not crack the way they bet their ego on. Instead, you hit them with the one thing every insecure enemy fears. You went quiet, not the silence of surrender. The silence of someone who just realized the entire battlefield is beneath them. The silence that says, I am done warning you. I am done explaining myself. I am done giving you the privilege of my reactions. That silence made the whole room flinch. It made the loud ones choke on their own words. It made the experts question their expert opinions. The silence was not your downfall. It was your ascension. Hit that like button and subscribe, Chosen One, to pay this message back and strengthen this army with your presence. What they do not say out loud is the part you can hear in their eyes now. That tiny, pathetic twitch of fear when you walk in. That awkward pause when your name comes up. That sudden politeness from the same people who once dragged you through the mud. They are scrambling because your calm is too heavy for them. Your control is too sharp. They thought they knew you. But you became the version of yourself they never prepared for. You became the aftermath they never imagined surviving. You became the storm that does not roar. It waits. And this shift did not come from nowhere. You did not wake up one day unbothered for fun. No. You earned this energy. You earned it in the nights. Nobody saw you break and rebuild yourself. You earned it in the moments when you cried quietly, plotting your exit from every trap they set. They wanted you loud because loud people are easy to frame, but you learned something they never wanted you to understand. When you stop reacting, you stop bleeding. When you stop explaining, you stop shrinking. When you stop giving them updates, you stop giving them access. It is crazy how predictable enemies are. Chosen One, same formula, every time. They poke you, watch you shake, then pretend they are innocent. They hit you with lies, then act shocked when the truth returns with receipts. You have been through situations that would have erased other people. You have endured losses that should have hardened your heart beyond repair. You have carried betrayals that should have turned you bitter. But instead of collapsing, you learned. You watched, you evolved, and the universe noticed. You are walking around with a spirit that survived sabotage, jealousy, manipulation, and fake love disguised as concern. You came out smarter, quieter, and more dangerous to the ones who wished on your downfall. They wanted you punching walls. Instead, you started moving like someone who finally knows their worth. They wanted you screaming in frustration. Instead, you started choosing silence like a weapon. They wanted you desperate. Instead, you started walking away like nothing was worth draining your peace. That is why they are scared now. They cannot read you. They cannot predict you. They cannot guilt trip you. They cannot twist your words. They cannot play director of your emotions anymore. You stopped handing out backstage passes to people who only came to sabotage the show. You became the version of yourself that walks with a past full of proof. The proof that you faced manipulation and did not fold. The proof that you faced abandonment and still rose. The proof that you stood in rooms full of people who secretly hated you and still kept your head straight. You know what really gets them. The fact that you are not bragging about any of this. You are not posting breakdowns. You are not announcing your every move. You are not defending yourself to people who already made up their minds. You are just living, just existing, just breathing with a level of calm that feels like a threat. Because to them, your silence is not silence. It is an omen. They wished you were angry because anger they could handle. Anger they could twist. Anger they could label. But this version of you, this controlled, strategic, healed version, that is worse for them. Much worse. That is the version that does not repeat cycles, does not beg for closure, does not play into guilt, and does not let clowns audition for roles in your life anymore. So stand there in the ruins of everything they tried to destroy. Feel the air shift around you. Notice the way people look at you now. This is what happens when a chosen one walks out of the fire without the smoke. You became the quiet storm. The one nobody can predict, but everyone feels. The one they wish was angry so they could understand you again, but they lost that privilege. And now all that is left is the fear of what you will become next. And chosen one, do not think I am done with you yet. You have already walked through the path that scared your enemies the most. And you are still here, calm, unshaken, and twice as dangerous. If you are really ready to keep going, to break this thing down piece by piece, and understand exactly why your silence turned into their nightmare, then mark your presence. Drop a 777 in the comments so the universe knows you are stepping into the version of yourself they never wanted to meet. And hit that like and subscribe button as your way of fueling this mission, because every chosen one who stays strengthens the entire force behind this message. So here is your moment of truth. If you feel that pull in your chest right now, that strange mix of curiosity and power, that is not an accident. That is the shift happening. That is the quiet evolution they hoped to interrupt. Stay with me through every step, and you will see exactly why they prayed for your anger, but feared what came instead. Let us move forward. The next part starts now. Before we continue, a quiet word. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you can leave a seed behind. A small place inside what is being built here. What you give does not stay in this room. It becomes part of the quiet system that keeps this message reaching the ones still standing at a door they cannot see yet. Your seed keeps that door moving toward them. If you feel this in your chest right now, drop the word silence in the comments. Number 1. Precision turned into power. They cannot survive. Funny how the same people who poked the beast now panic because it learned to think. Your silence was not weakness. It was the moment they realized their tricks had expired. Nothing scares an enemy more than the version of you they cannot predict anymore. They studied your rage. They never studied your evolution. Chosen one. This part of your transformation is where their whole world starts glitching. They had an entire strategy ready for the angry you. That version was easy to manipulate, easy to blame, easy to control. Rage is noisy. Rage leaves fingerprints. Rage gives them material to twist, and they were counting on it, waiting for it, practically praying for that moment when you would explode and prove their narrative true. But instead of breaking, you upgraded. Instead of screaming, you locked in. Instead of reacting, you recalibrated. And nothing terrifies a manipulator more than a person who stops being predictable. You did not lose your fire. You refined it. You did not calm down. You evolved into something they never learned how to handle. Imagine this. They throw the same insult that used to send you spiraling, but this time, you do not flinch. You do not answer. You just look at them like you are observing a malfunctioning machine that does not realize it is already outdated. Watch their face in that moment. Watch how the confidence drains. Watch how their voice cracks. That is the shift. That is the precision. Another one. Imagine someone tries to guilt trip you the same way they used to. They expect you to explain yourself, defend yourself, justify your boundaries. But instead, you respond with one sentence. I am not entertaining this. Look how fast they backpedal. That is precision. And another. Imagine someone brings up your name in a room thinking you will snap back like before. Instead, you smile calmly because you already outgrew their whole environment. That is the moment they realize they are dealing with someone who does not play in the mud anymore. That is precision. And the last one, imagine standing in the middle of everything that was meant to break you, and instead of panicking, you feel nothing but clarity. You see every lie, every trick, every manipulation for what it really was. That is not anger. That is awareness. And awareness is lethal. You might ask yourself, why do they look so nervous around me now? Because they know you see through them. Why do they get awkward when I do not react? Because they do not know what that silence means. Why do people who once ran their mouth suddenly go quiet? Because they do not know what you are planning anymore. Anger made you readable, precision makes you unpredictable. They had files, patterns, assumptions, rehearsed responses for the old version of you. They had emotional traps ready waiting for you to step into them. They studied your triggers, learned your weaknesses, memorized your reactions, but they never prepared for what would happen when you stopped giving them access to your emotions entirely. That is why your transformation hits harder than any rage could. Rage was their playground, but this is spiritual warfare of a higher level. This is strategy. This is emotional discipline. This is the moment you leveled up without announcing it. And suddenly they are facing an opponent they do not have a manual for. They cannot guilt trip someone who already accepted the truth. They cannot manipulate someone who sees the pattern. They cannot intimidate someone who feels nothing but clarity. They cannot provoke someone who refuses to perform. And here is the beauty of it. They know you are dangerous now, not because you will lash out, but because you will not. Your silence is heavier than your rage. Your calm is sharper than any threat. Your presence carries the weight of everything you have survived and everything you refuse to tolerate again. You became surgical. You became observant. You became intentional. You became someone who moves with purpose instead of emotion. While they were waiting for you to explode, you were busy documenting their patterns. While they were hoping you had snap, you were quietly memorizing every inconsistency. While they thought they were winning, you were turning their behavior into evidence of who they really are. That is why you are untouchable now. That is why they whisper instead of yell. That is why they keep their distance instead of daring you to react. That is why their energy collapses when you enter the room. You are not angry. You are awakened. You are not emotional. You are strategic. You are not reacting. You are evolving. You did not explode outward. You imploded inward and rebuilt yourself from the ashes of who they thought you were supposed to stay. You turned your pain into precision. You turned your confusion into clarity. You turned your heartbreak into boundaries. And now you are the problem they cannot solve, because people can prepare for anger. No one can prepare for someone who transcended it. You became the storm that does not roar. You became the shadow they cannot predict. You became the silence that exposes every lie. You became the version of yourself that operates on a frequency they cannot reach. And that is why they wish you were angry, because what you became is way worse. Type "I am the storm" in the comments if this is your season. Number 2. The fear they pretend does not exist. Wild how the loudest enemies go silent the moment you stop giving them a stage. They wanted you broken. Now, they cannot even look you in the eyes. Nothing haunts a guilty soul more than the person who refuses to react. Chosen one. This is the fear they choke on every time your name comes up. Not fear of what you might do, but fear of what you already turned into. They are not studying your actions anymore. They are studying your evolution, trying to decode how you became so calm, so steady, so untouchable. They watch you walk through spaces like someone who is not fueled by anger, but by something sharper, something colder, something they cannot influence. They expected you to crumble. Instead, you became someone who does not flinch at things that once destroyed you. Imagine them waiting for the old version of you to show up. The emotional one, the reactive one, the one they knew how to manipulate. But now, they look at you and realize that version is gone. They watch you smile at moments they built hoping you had break. They watch you choose distance instead of chasing. They watch you build quietly where they once expected you to collapse. You might wonder, why are they acting strange around me? Why so awkward? Why so cautious? Because they cannot read you anymore. They do not know if you are done with them or simply beyond them. And that uncertainty eats at them. What scares them is not anger. Anger is easy. Anger means you are still attached. What terrifies them is your detachment, your peace, your absence from the emotional battlefield they built to trap you. You are not playing their game, not even acknowledging them as opponents. You are operating on a frequency they cannot access, moving like someone who outgrew every trap they set. They wished for your rage. Your evolution is so much worse. Number 3. Their storyline crumbled the moment you stopped playing your role. They wrote the script. You burned it without saying a word. They needed you emotional. You showed up evolved. Nothing collapses faster than a lie exposed by someone who refuses to break. Chosen one. This is the part that is eating them alive. Their entire narrative depended on you losing control. They wanted the meltdown. They wanted the scene. They wanted the evidence. If you had exploded, they could have pointed, judged, smirked, and said, "See, this is who they are." That is why they poked you, baited you, tested you. They were building a case, stacking assumptions like shaky dominoes, waiting for you to knock them down. But instead of raging, you did something far more dangerous. You understood. You watched patterns instead of reacting to provocations. You treated their betrayal like data, not destiny. You read their manipulation like a manual. You saw their lies as information, not wounds. And when the truth landed, instead of screaming, you stepped forward with the quiet confidence of someone who already knows how the story ends. Imagine them replaying old scenes expecting to see someone broken, only to realize you used every hit as raw material for your evolution. That is why they are panicking now. Because you did not ask for closure. You did not ask for explanations. You did not ask for justice. You simply left the storyline entirely. They do not know how to handle someone who does not beg. They do not know how to handle someone who does not chase. They do not know how to handle someone who walked away from the battlefield while they were still sharpening their weapons. You might wonder, why do they keep revisiting the past? Why cannot they move on like I did? Because their power ended the second you healed. They are stuck in the scene where they thought they destroyed you. Meanwhile, you stepped into a new chapter they were not invited to. They thought ending you was the finale. Turns out, it was just the intermission. Comment unshaken if you already stopped explaining yourself to people who never deserved access. Number 4. The calm that makes their soul shake. People can fight what you say, but they collapse when they realize they cannot shake your peace. They survived your anger. They will not survive your evolution. Your silence used to confuse them. Now it exposes their entire strategy. Chosen one. This is the part that haunts them at night. It is not your glow-up, your wins, or your progress that terrifies them. It is that unnerving, unshakable stillness you move with now. The kind of calm that should not exist in someone who has been through what you have been through. They threw betrayals meant to collapse you. They delivered losses designed to erase you. They built storms hoping to drown you, and you did not crumble, did not beg, did not self-destruct. You simply continued. Imagine their confusion watching you walk around with the kind of stability they thought they had successfully stolen from you. They expected chaos. You gave them composure. They expected collapse. You gave them control. They expected rage. You gave them a quiet that feels like a threat. You might be thinking, why does my calm bother them this much? Because calm means you have seen everything, felt everything, survived everything, and you are still standing. Calm means you understand the game, the players, and the traps. Calm means you are no longer emotionally accessible to people who fed off your reactions. They cannot weaponize someone who refuses to react. They cannot manipulate someone who is not moved. They cannot control someone who does not need their validation. And here is the part they will never admit. Your stability proves they never had the power they thought they did. Every attempt to break you turned into proof of your evolution. Every loss you endured became a brick in your new foundation. You did not rise from anger. You rose from awareness. You realized that revenge is temporary, but becoming undeniable is permanent. You stopped flipping their board and started designing your own universe, and that, chosen one, is what terrifies them most. Number 5. The silence that screams through their skeleton. Your silence hits harder than any confrontation you could have given them. Nothing shakes a guilty person more than the sound of someone who finally has nothing left to say. When you stopped explaining yourself, their entire strategy collapsed. Chosen one. This is the part where their mind starts eating itself alive. Your silence is not peaceful to them. It is punishment. It is pressure. It is the kind of quiet that exposes every lie they ever told, every game they ever played, every excuse they ever hid behind. They used to thrive off your reactions. They studied your emotions like hunters, memorized their prey. But now, you give them nothing. No anger, no explanations, no updates. Just silence thick enough to suffocate their whole narrative. Imagine them scrolling through your old messages at 3:00 a.m., trying to figure out the exact moment you detached. They whisper to each other. Why are not they talking about us? Why are not they mad? Why did they just stop? They do not realize it was not one moment. It was all of them. Every betrayal, every lie, every tiny cruelty, they layered themselves into your decision like bricks in a wall you eventually walked away from. You might wonder, why does my silence affect them this much? Because silence from the person they tried to break is the loudest sound in the universe. It echoes through every insecurity they tried to hide. It reminds them of their choices. It drags their own reflection into the spotlight. And here is the part that hits them hardest. You did not stay silent to punish them. You stayed silent because you finally understood. You studied them like a scientist studies a virus, observing symptoms, patterns, triggers. You did not internalize the pain. You analyzed it. You did not absorb their toxicity. You documented it. And somewhere along the line, you became immune to everything they used to control you with. They cannot gaslight you anymore because you know the truth too well. They cannot guilt-trip you because your conscience is clean and theirs is not. They cannot ghost you because you detached long before they had the chance. You leveled so far beyond their manipulation that their old tactics feel childish now. Your silence is not absence. Your silence is evolution. And nothing terrifies them more than realizing you are no longer accessible to the games they mastered. Drop a single dot in the comments if you know exactly who this video is for. Number 6. The rise that makes their eyes twitch. They buried you shallow because they thought you would stay down now. They are terrified you grew roots. Your glow is not accidental. It is the revenge they cannot screenshot. Nothing breaks a manipulator faster than seeing the person they tried to ruin become unreachable. Chosen one, this is the part that fries their circuits. They are standing there, mouth half open, watching you bloom into someone they never believed you could be. And the funniest part, you are not blooming despite them. You are blooming because the universe dragged them out of your garden. Their presence was poison. Their absence was fertilizer, and now you are rising in ways the old version of you would have never imagined. Imagine them scrolling through your life, watching you create, smile, move forward, build things they swore you had never have the strength to. They wanted you dependent. They wanted you broken. They wanted you so tangled in their chaos that you had never find your way out. But you slipped through every trap like it was made of paper. You became the living contradiction to every lie they told about you. You might think, do they really care that much? They do. More than they will ever admit, because villains need victims to feel powerful. Manipulators need someone beneath them to feel tall. And you deleted their entire role. You did not just walk away, you erased the version of you they thought they owned. You became a character too powerful for their story to contain. They thought destroying you was the finale. But all they did was trigger your transformation. You are blooming in real time. Chosen one, in places they swore you would never grow. In soil, they tried to poison. In light, they tried to block. You are the proof that a person can be shattered and still decide to build something stronger from the pieces. And that is the bloom they cannot comprehend. Number 7. When you became the architect instead of the aftershock, they wanted you reacting so they could feel relevant. Now they flinch at every move you make. Your peace used to be optional. Now it is the force that rearranges their entire reality. Nothing humiliates an enemy more than realizing they are no longer the cause of your emotions, chosen one. This is where the transformation hits its peak. When you were angry, you were stuck in their orbit. Every reaction you had was a response to something they triggered. They pulled a string. You moved. They started a fire. You tried to put it out. You were the effect. They were the cause. And trust me, they were proud of that. They mistook your hurt for dependence, your reactions for attachment, your anger for proof that they mattered. Then you did the unthinkable. You stopped reacting. You started creating. Imagine them trying to get your attention now. Throwing the same petty shade, doing the same predictable nonsense. But instead of biting, you are busy building, busy growing, busy choosing a life that does not revolve around their drama. You became the one setting the tone without even trying. Your silence triggers them. Your peace confuses them. Your happiness without them. That is the bullet they never recover from. You might wonder, why does my joy bother them so much? Because your joy proves they were never the source. Your stability proves they were not your foundation. Your evolution proves they were not your limit. Your calmness has become their chaos. Your lack of reaction is the mirror they cannot stand to look into. They are stuck responding to a version of you that no longer exists, scrambling to understand how they went from being your cause to being nothing but background noise. And here is the raw truth. You did not stop caring because you hated them. You stopped caring because you outgrew them. You realized they were the last chain on your mind, the final anchor keeping you tied to an old version of yourself. And you did not break that chain with rage. Rage would have given them closure. Rage would have shown you still cared. You broke it with indifference, the cleanest cut, the deepest wound. The proof that you are creating a life they never had the ability to ruin. You went from reaction to creation, and they cannot keep up. Take a breath here for a moment. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you can leave a seed, a place at the table of what is being built. What rises from fire carries a different weight than what was never tested. What you plant from this place reaches someone still in the middle of their own weight right now. Someone who has not yet been told that the pressure they feel is shaping them, not breaking them. If this message has carried you, consider carrying a piece of it forward. If you have already walked away from someone like this, comment "walked away." Number 8. The version of you they cannot reach even with a map. Nothing terrifies a guilty soul more than the person who healed past their access. They swung at you for years. Now they cannot even touch your shadow. When you stopped responding, their entire purpose collapsed. Chosen one. This is the part where you stop being a character in their story and become a myth in their memory. The kind of indifference you carry now is not casual. It is earned. It is carved. It is the kind of calm that only comes from someone who walked through hell, catalogued every demon, survived every hit, and came back with the keys in their hand like trophies. That is why you feel so different. That is why they act so strange. You did not just heal. You evolved into a version of yourself that no longer bleeds where they used to cut. Imagine them trying to reach you now. Texting, lurking, watching, poking the air like you are still available, but you are not standing where they left you. You became a ghost in their world while being fully alive in your own. That is the ultimate power move. Not revenge, not exposing their lies, not proving a point, but peace so clean, so stable, so unshakable that it renders them irrelevant. You might ask yourself, why does my peace feel so threatening to them? Because peace means you finally understood the truth. They were never as powerful as the damage they caused, because peace means they no longer guide your reactions, because peace means you learn to live without the noise they once used to control you. They wanted you angry. Anger is clumsy. Anger makes mistakes. Anger gives them something to twist. But you did not give them rage. You slipped into silence, and in that silence, you became untouchable. You moved beyond their reach, beyond their opinions, beyond their story. You did not destroy them. You simply outgrew the version of yourself that allowed them in. That is what makes you untouchable now. Type evolved in the comments if you feel the shift happening right now. Number 9. The level up. They will spend years trying to replicate. You did not change the room. The room changed because of you. They tried to dim you. Now they squint just to handle your glow. People do not respect you because you survived. They respect you because you evolved. Chosen one. This is where your evolution becomes undeniable. You walk into rooms now and something shifts. Not fear, not intimidation. Recognition. People can feel when someone has walked through fire and did not come out with burns, but with a blueprint. They sense the weight you carry, the history behind your silence, the knowledge behind your eyes. You do not have to brag, explain, or convince. Your presence does the talking for you. Imagine the same people who overlooked you before. The ones who dismissed you, doubted you, abandoned you. Now watching you like you are a phenomenon they cannot decode. They remember the version of you that hurt. They ignored that one. But this version, the one that healed, they cannot take their eyes off it. Healing was not supposed to look this powerful. Growth was not supposed to look this effortless. But here you are, expanding in real time, turning every scar into strategy. You might think, why are they suddenly paying attention? Why act like they care now? Because evolution exposes cowardice, because strength exposes regret, because rising exposes who stayed crawling, and now they want access. They want answers. They want the secret formula you used to rebuild yourself from the ashes they left you in. But here is the truth. You do not owe them the blueprint. What you did is not a lesson. It is a miracle they will never recreate. You survived poison designed specifically for you, and instead of dying, you became immune. You became the flame they thought the fire would kill. That is the evolution they cannot match. Number 10. The tomorrow they will never catch up to. They are still arguing with the ghost of who you used to be, while you are already busy becoming someone they will never meet again. Your past is their obsession. Your future is their punishment. You did not outgrow them by accident. You outpaced them by design. Chosen one. This is where the gap becomes permanent. They are stuck, replaying old scenes, overanalyzing old versions of you, dissecting mistakes you already outgrew. Meanwhile, you are operating in a future they cannot access, building a life they cannot sabotage, becoming a person they no longer have the privilege to misunderstand. The distance between you and them is not petty. It is necessary. It is what happens when someone evolves past their environment and refuses to shrink back just to make insecure people comfortable. Imagine them squinting at your past like detectives, trying to find evidence of the person you no longer are. They study your ashes like they mean something, not realizing you burned that version of yourself on purpose. They are stuck in the ruins while you are already airborne. You did not just rise, you left the atmosphere, and they cannot breathe where you are going. You might ask, am I being cold? Am I being distant? No, you are being focused. Focus feels like cruelty to people who once depended on your chaos. Growth feels like abandonment to those who expected you to stay small. This is evolution in its purest form. Not loud, not theatrical, not designed for applause. Just disciplined, relentless forward motion. You are no longer proving them wrong. That was the old mission. Now you are proving yourself right. Every step forward is a receipt of your resilience. Every win is a reminder that your potential was never tied to their approval. You do not owe the past a single backward glance. Your future is the only thing that matters. And the wildest part, they cannot follow you there. That is the unreachable future. Comment 444 if you are ready for what comes next. Number 11. The ending they never saw coming. They tried to beat you at a game you stopped playing. That is the humiliation they choke on. Your peace is the checkmate they cannot undo. Rewrite or spin. When you walked off the board, the whole strategy collapsed with you. Chosen one. This is the final blow. The moment everything they built against you turns into a trap for them. They are stuck trying to interpret every breath you take, every silence you choose, every step you move forward with. Your existence has become their scoreboard, and every outcome puts them in the losing position. If they talk about you, you live rent-free in their mind, taking up the emotional space they swore you never matter in. If they ignore you, it is not indifference. It is intimidation. They are scared they will reveal too much with a single word. If they reach out, they prove your value. They prove your absence mattered. They prove the void they mocked became the one they now fear. If they stay silent, they confirm the truth. You replaced them so effortlessly, it left them speechless. You might wonder, is it really this deep? Yes, because when someone loses access to the version of you they could manipulate, it hits like a crisis. They are wrestling with their ego now, not with you. Everything they do screams insecurity, regret, confusion, and the beauty is you do not have to lift a finger. Your peace is the checkmate. Your detachment is the final move. Your evolution is the game-ending strike. They cannot brag. They cannot twist the narrative. They cannot pretend they are winning, because how do you win against someone who is not even playing? That is what makes this the ultimate checkmate. You did not fight for victory. You became victory by stepping back, by leveling up, by refusing to be dragged back into a game built on cheap tricks and emotional traps. They lost the moment you chose yourself and the silence that followed. That was the sound of the king falling. Checkmate. If your peace has become someone else's punishment, drop the word peace below. Number 12. The moment you became their karma, without even trying. They wanted you broken, but you rebuilt so beautifully it feels like punishment. Your peace was not meant to hurt them. It just did, because chaos addicts suffer when the supply dies. You are not their consequence on purpose. You are their consequence by evolution. Chosen one. This is where the truth gets sharp. You are not doing anything to them. That is what makes this sting so vicious. Your healing is not an attack. Your growth is not a performance. Your peace is not a weapon. But to people who fed on your reactions, lived off your pain, and measured their worth by how deeply they could shake you, your evolution feels like violence. They were used to being your center, your trigger, your storm, and now you have become the calm they cannot disrupt. They are in withdrawal, starving for the chaos they once controlled. Let them hurt. Let them refresh your page. Let them reread old messages, hunting for cracks they will never find. You are fortified now, protected by standards they never thought you would develop. Guarded by boundaries they never believed you had the courage to enforce. And here is the dagger. The version of you they abused into numbness. Gone, dead, buried, unreachable. What stands now is the upgraded model. Sharper, wiser, colder, and far more selective with access. They awakened something in you they cannot leech, cannot manipulate, cannot guilt, cannot break. You became the living consequence of their choices. You became the story they hoped you would never grow into. Imagine them watching you now, realizing the pain they caused did not end you. It architected you. Every hit you took became a blueprint. Every betrayal became a brick. Every loss became a lesson. They did not destroy you. They accidentally built someone they cannot touch. You might think, should not I want apologies, closure, validation? You do not need any of it. Survival was your closure. Evolution was your apology to yourself. Peace became your validation. Everyone who sees you now understands exactly what happened. Survival was a choice you made when they expected you to fold. Evolution was a decision you repeated every day they expected you to fail. peace became a practice you mastered while they clung to chaos. You did not need them to change. You did not need them to fix anything. You did not need them to come back with, "I am sorry." You just needed to choose yourself with the same intensity they chose to hurt you, and you did. Every single day, quietly, consistently, relentlessly, you chose you, and that is what ruined them. Number 13. The return they never saw coming. They prayed you would not come back. They just never imagined you had returned like this. They expected a survivor. You walked in like a reckoning. Nothing rattles an enemy more than realizing the person they broke is gone, and the one who replaced them does not blink. Chosen one, this is the part of the story where the floor drops under their feet. They thought the old you, the soft one, the forgiving one, the one they could gaslight into silence, would eventually crawl back. They were wrong. You did not return as the version they destroyed. That version stayed dead. You walked back in as the upgrade, the evolution, the aftermath they never planned for. Imagine the look on their faces when you re-enter a room they once controlled. They are scanning you like a glitch in their system. Your eyes do not carry the insecurity they used to exploit. Your voice does not tremble. Your energy does not bend. Everything about you is unfamiliar, and that is exactly what scares them. They are dealing with someone they cannot read anymore. Someone they cannot guilt into staying. Someone they cannot provoke into reacting. You might even wonder, why do they look so uncomfortable around me now? Because you are not predictable. Because the access they once abused is gone. Because the wounds they caused are sealed shut, polished over, and weaponized into wisdom. You did not just heal, you mutated. You shifted form. You stepped onto a higher frequency that they do not have the emotional vocabulary to understand. Your presence alone rewrites the energy of the room. People straighten up, conversations reroute. Silence grows heavier. You are not demanding respect. You are respect. And here is the part that destroys them. You did not need revenge or closure or their validation to return powerful. You returned on your own terms. You returned with your own standard. You returned with your own peace. They were not prepared for this version. They were not prepared for someone who outgrew their entire playbook. They were not prepared for the plot twist where the one they tried to shatter becomes the one they cannot manage, cannot manipulate, and cannot forget. This is your return, and it is the one they will never recover from. Type still here in the comments if you survived something that should have broken you. One more quiet moment before the ending. What you have read so far is not free to build or to keep moving. Through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you can leave a seed, a small offering toward this mission of reaching the ones who needed to hear exactly this today. Every gift becomes part of the reach this message has tomorrow. Give if you can. Let it be simple. Let it be honest. And let it return to you in its own time. Comment the word aura if you felt that shift in the room before anyone said a word. Number 14. The aura. They will break themselves trying to copy. They can steal your words, your style, your moves. But they will never steal the energy you earned in the dark. Confidence you did not bleed for is cosplay. Your glow is not aesthetic. It is the proof you walked through hell and came back lit from the inside, chosen one. This is the part where you stop being a person and start being a presence. You carry an energy now that cannot be practiced in the mirror, cannot be mimicked through fake quotes, cannot be learned from self-help posts. It is the kind of aura that comes from surviving nights that should have broken you. People feel it before they understand it. They sense something sharpened, something settled, something unbothered in a way most humans never reach. Imagine someone trying to act like you, trying to copy your calm, your tone, your posture, but the moment life gets even slightly inconvenient, they crumble. That is the difference. They are performing peace. You became peace. They are posing with confidence. You earned yours brick by brick, disaster by disaster, betrayal by betrayal. You might wonder, why do people stare now? Why do they get quiet? Why does the mood shift when I enter spaces? Because your energy exposes what is fake in theirs. Because you carry a steadiness they cannot imitate. Because you are not powered by ego, you are powered by experience, and experience hits different. Your stillness intimidates people who rely on noise. Your confidence unnerves people who rely on approval. Your composure rattles people who never learned emotional discipline. They do not understand that your glow was not handed to you. It was carved out of every moment you were forced to grow alone. They did not see the nights you rebuilt yourself piece by piece. They did not witness the internal war you fought silently. They did not feel the transformation that happened in the dark. Without an audience, without applause. They want your aura without doing your work. They want your shine without surviving your shadows. They want your strength without enduring your storms. But that is why they will never have it. Because the energy you carry now is not a look. It is a lineage, a spiritual scar that healed into something powerful. A vibration only earned, never borrowed, never copied. You intimidate without trying. You inspire without speaking. You stand out without performing. Your aura is not an act. It is the aftershock of your evolution. If you are choosing yourself today, drop a single yes in the comments. Number 15. The ending where you walk away untouched. They wanted a war. You gave them a disappearance. Nothing destroys an enemy faster than realizing they do not matter anymore. Your freedom was not won in battle. It was won the moment you stopped looking back. Chosen one. This is the final scene, the one they never prepared for because, in their imagination, the story always ended with you broken, begging, or battling. They expected a clash, a showdown, a dramatic confrontation that would prove they still had a grip on your spirit. But you gave them the one ending they cannot fight, cannot rewrite, cannot survive. You walked away untouched. Imagine the past trailing behind you like smoke, while you continue moving forward with that clean, steady stride of someone who knows the world ahead is bigger than anything behind. You did not destroy them. You dissolved the version of you that allowed them in. You did not expose them. You simply outgrew the need for validation, explanation, closure, or revenge. That is why this victory feels so cinematic. You became the character who does not need to strike back. Your evolution did the striking for you. You might wonder, is walking away really enough? It is more than enough. Silence is the final plot twist. Peace is the final punishment. Growth is the final goodbye. While they are replaying old memories like broken tapes, trying to find the moment they lost control, you are already in a different storyline, one they were not written into. Their relevance evaporates every time you choose yourself. Their importance fades every time you smile without them. Their power dies every time you wake up and decide to keep going. There is something breathtaking about an ending where you do not win by force. You win by elevation. You rise so far beyond the chaos that the chaos cannot climb high enough to reach you. You become untouched, not because you hid from the fire, but because you learned how to walk through it without letting the flames claim you. This is your final frame. You moving forward with no rage, no bitterness, no chains, just clarity. The world ahead is wide open. The past behind you shrinks into nothing, and every step you take is a reminder that the real victory was not beating them. It was outgrowing them. And now, Chosen One, as the dust finally settles, there is only one truth left standing. You did not just survive the war. You outgrew the battlefield. This new chapter is yours. Free from their shadows, powered by your evolution, protected by your peace. If this message hit home, press like, subscribe, and drop 77 in the comments, so the universe knows you are stepping into your next level. Share this with someone who needs the reminder that walking away untouched is the most legendary victory of all. Type untouched in the comments if you are walking into your next chapter right now.